Hi, welcome to Module 4, Gathering CDs. My name is Holly Johnston. I'm your Curriculum Specialist for Social Studies, and I'm really excited to talk through this piece with you for this module. So just like in your last module, you learned about analyzing the prompt. That's where we start whenever we are given a task, a writing task. So analyzing the prompt is really great because it supports students in their own confidence in writing. It lays out the assignment so that students know exactly what is expected of them, and it sets them up for success in the writing process. So we're going to go through and we're going to analyze the prompt first before we go on to gathering our concrete details. So our first step in analyzing the prompt is looking for what are we writing? So if you could pick up your black pen, and we're going to look for evidence in the prompt that tells us what we are writing. So the first piece of evidence that tells us what we are writing is right here. So I'm going to read the prompt out loud first all the way through, and then we'll find that evidence. Here's the model of the process where I'm providing you with a one-chunk 2+1 expository paragraph that discusses two pieces of advice about obtaining a first job. So what we are writing is right there for us right away. It's first of all one chunk. So with your black pen on page 47 in your participant materials, you are going to box one chunk. Now there's one other piece of evidence in our prompt that tells us what we're writing, and that's right here, paragraph. So with your black pen, you are going to box paragraph. Now, in a prompt, you could see other things besides paragraph. You could see essay or response, but that gives the student and or who is ever writing the evidence to say, I know I'm going to have to write a paragraph, and I know it's going to be one chunk. So it tells us exactly what's expected of us. So what are the chunks if we are looking for one chunk? So you're going to pick up your red pen, and you are going to start with the concrete details, and you're going to circle 2+ in red. Now, there are different ratios depending on the type of writing that students are doing. For the expository ratio, it's typically 2+ to 1 or 3+ to 0, which you'll learn about later. But we know that that first piece in that ratio is always our concrete details. And so from the prompt, we know that we're looking for 2+ concrete details in our writing piece. Then we're going to pick up our green pen, and we are going to circle the 1. The second piece of the ratio is always the commentary. So we know that we're going to have some commentary in this particular writing piece also. Now, we know we're going to have 2+ concrete details, but what are those concrete details going to be? So we're going to pick up our red pen again, and we're going to look at our prompt, and we're going to look for those concrete details. So one chunk 2+ to 1 expository paragraph that discusses two pieces of advice about obtaining a first job. So we have a clue right there, two pieces of advice. So we know that that's going to be our commentary. We're looking for, our concrete details. We're looking for two pieces of advice about obtaining a first job. So we know that two pieces of advice is our concrete detail. And then we're looking for our topic. And we're going to pick up our blue pen because our topic sentence is always in blue. And we're looking for what we're writing about. We're writing about obtaining a first job, and that's going to become our topic sentence. So our next piece is to outline our paragraph so we, as the learner or the writer, can write this piece. We know that we're going to have a topic sentence because it's a paragraph, so we're going to put that at the top. We know from the ratio that we need 2 concrete details, and so we're going to add those. 2+, so there could be more than 2, but we're sticking with 2 for this one. 1 commentary, so we know the commentary is going to come after the concrete details. And then we know that we need one, or the ending of our paragraph, which is our concluding sentence. And that's going to be in blue also. So from our prompt, we can fill in this chart and we can notice what we're going to be writing. So the first piece, we know that the topic is obtaining a first job. So our topic sentence is going to have something to do with that. So we're going to write that on the top. So you're going to do that with your blue pen. Then we know that we're going to need 2 pieces of advice. So our first concrete detail is going to be one piece of advice, and our second concrete detail is going to be another piece of advice. So you're going to write that in red on your outline. And then we know that we need one piece of commentary. Commentary does not come from text. Commentary, if you remember, comes from our experience. So our analytical mind, our heart and soul, our gut instinct and intuition, and a little wiggle. But in this case, in our outline, the commentary is going to tell the importance or significance of those pieces of advice that we're trying to find. And then lastly, we have our concluding sentence, which is leftover analysis or commentary. Now we're going to move on to actually finding those concrete details. So on page 48, you have a model of the gathering concrete details. So we begin with concrete details for a purpose, because evidence is super important in our writing. We found that when students start with the topic sentence, excuse me, they have a hard time connecting that topic sentence to the concrete details and the commentary that come after it. So it's really important that when we're writing, we start with those concrete details. It makes it easier for us to generate the commentary that goes along with the topic sentence and concluding sentence and commentary later on. Doing concrete details first also helps with the logical flow of the writing. Sometimes it might be appropriate for teachers to actually give students the concrete details and then work through this gathering CDs page with them. And that's what we would recommend you doing in the beginning when you're first starting out. So let's talk through this gathering CDs page real quickly. Notice the prompt at the top. The prompt keeps us focused on the task and the CDs we're looking for below. So you'll notice that it's right there written out for you, right? A 1 chunk, 2 plus to 1 paragraph that discusses 2 pieces of advice about obtaining your first job. You could, with your students, go back and analyze the prompt again and underline in red 2 pieces of advice so that they know that's what you're doing in your gathering CDs. So our first step is to think of 4 or more possible concrete details that would fit the prompt and write them below. Remember that CDs come from 4 places: what I have seen, what I have read, what I or someone else has done, and what I or someone else has said. Remember that we are not working with a text-based prompt here. We are building the concrete details from just facts and things that we know to be true. So things that I have seen, things I have read, what I or someone else has done, and what I or someone else has said. Then we are going to circle the 2 that fit the assignment best. Now, how do I know which ones fit the assignment best? So there's a few questions we can ask ourselves to pick those concrete details. The first question we can ask ourselves is, which of these concrete details relates best to the prompt? And our prompt for this one is pieces of advice. The second question is, how many paragraphs are we going to have in this assignment? For this assignment, we'll only have 1. But if you had multiple paragraphs, you'd be looking for grouping concrete details together so that they would fit the different paragraph topics you would be presenting. And then the last thing is really, what can I really personally write about and connect with? Which ones do I know best? Which ones do I have the biggest opinion of? So I chose dress up and take your time on the job application. And I'm going to circle those right there. I chose dress up because I know how important it is to make that first impression. And I also love clothes and love to look good and look nice. And so I know that I could talk to that particular CD. The second one is taking your time on the job application. When we look nice, we make a good first impression. And also, if somebody's going to look at my job application and then ask me to come in for an interview, or look at my job application as I'm in the room during an interview, I want to make sure that job application is filled out nicely. And so that's why I chose take time on your job application. So that's the steps in gathering CDs. Your next task is going to be heading back to your Schoology course. You're going to find a discussion board post there for you. And you're going to practice this process a little bit. So we're going to have you generate 2 additional CDs to the list below using the 4 places CDs come from. So remember, CDs come from 4 places: what I've seen, what I have read, what I or someone else has done, and what I or someone else has said. So you're going to take the 4 that are there and create 2 more. Then you're going to choose your own personal best piece of evidence, just like we did. We chose dress up and take your time on the job application. And you're going to write out and explain why those CDs would be best for you to use in your paragraph. As it's important to model this process with our students, we also want you to have some commentary with others. So you're going to respond to at least one other person's post and give them feedback on their best CDs. Thank you for watching our little video on gathering concrete details, and we're excited to see what you come up with.